Hundreds of students from the National School of Local Administration (NASLA) come to the end of their 30 days training at the Mutengene Police College, where they have been camping for the past days. We bring to you the atmosphere that was witnessed this afternoon. Plus, Meme teachers of the Southwest region in the basic and secondary sectors conclude a two-day workshop on the promotion of healthy practices across the different schools. But how will this make a difference in the educational system? High Prime of today attempts some more answers. Good evening to you all, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to High Prime of Thursday, the 16th of November 2023. For presentation, I am attending Larry Kevin Tabot. We start with one of our lead stories. Students of the National School of Local Administration (NASLA) has concluded a one-month rigorous training in the defense and security sector of the Mutengene Police College. The institution wants to encourage civic and patriotism amongst her students, as our reporter has more. Make no mistake, these hundreds of individuals are not police officials, but students of the National School of Local Administration (NASLA) who have completed their 30 days of rigorous training in the defense and security sector of Cameroon.
The message for the trainees today is to put all these training they have received in the service of the regional and local authorities, and to continue to be disciplined in the training we go through.
The send-forth ceremony that took place at the ceremonial grandstand of the Mutengene Police College, where they have been camping for these past 4 weeks, is one with essential message of patriotism and respect for all that the state incarnates.
They have accepted and they have applied. So today we are happy with what they learned here in our police station in Mutengene. Then it could be let's say civil servant serving in the territorial collectivity to avoid some mistakes like corruption, tribalism, and clientelism.
NASLA Deputy Director General on her part enumerated on the essential take-home reminder, which is being disciplined in all spheres.
Certain notion of civic mindset, patriotism, and ability to surpass on limits in our trainees. Through some lessons on commandment, ethics, sports, and deontology.
Certificates of completion of training were handed to the different laureates as they promised to make absolute use of all what they have learned.
The beginning was difficult, but because of the importance of the training to us, we had to persist, and we went through a lot, and a lot has been instilled in us. We went through physical training, moral training, and above all, discipline. We've learned to be disciplined because as leaders you are supposed to be disciplined, because people who are under your leadership will copy after you.
With this ceremony that unfolded under the watchful eyes of NASLA Deputy Director General and the Director of the Mutengene Police College and other hierarchy of the Southwest region, was crowned with a display of a colorful march past and other activities. Fascinating reports in there. Journalists in the southwest and northwest regions of the country met this Thursday, 16 November 2023 for a press conference organized by the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. The briefing was to re-echo what UNICEF has been doing across the Anglophone regions, especially in the wake of the armed conflict in the said regions. The Bretton Woods organization has as objective to take care of children across the globe and for their rights to be taken serious. UNICEF Country's Director Nadine Perrol will give the current situation of children in this part of the country. We have details in an explanation in this interview selected for us by our news presenter.
It's just a dialogue that we just had with all partners, implementing partners, national NGOs, international NGOs, those working with international NGOs, and also national institutions counterpart, to discuss the implementation of the program, and then how, because they are all partners, so to discuss how we are moving in terms of what kind of result that we're having, what kind of change we are making in the life of children in this region. So it was about to see together what needs to be changed, what are the shifts that we need to do to be able to accelerate better and to ensure that really the efforts that we're making and the efforts that all donors also, and one of the main donors is ECHO, in terms of all humanitarian interventions, are making a change. So, and this is what it was all about. So we also needed to hear from the ground, those working here, because we are not those in the community. We needed to hear from them what are the challenges and what are also the ideas on how UNICEF can better support, how UNICEF can ensure that there is more collaboration, there is a coordinated approach in what we are doing. And this is what we discussed, and I think it was a very productive and with very good ideas and very also innovative and out of the box thinking. And I think that will help also see the result now at the end, because we should always have our sight on changing the situation of children here in that region. And that's what the dialogue was about. One of the, I think, main challenge was the fact that, sectoral, they tend to work in silos. So, and we discussed a lot the need for a very integrated multi-sectoral approach, because when you, for instance, working in health issues, you're looking at a child, perhaps this child doesn't have a birth registration. Perhaps the child has difficulty accessing school. Perhaps the child is an IDP child. So there needs to be that coordination and integrated approach in terms of, better collaboration, better information, and data also, because we need to see is true data. We can see, are we reaching more children, or an increase in malnutrition, or is there a decrease in malnutrition? Is done also in one collaborating with each other. So yes, there are many challenges.
That was UNICEF Countries Director for Cameroon, Nadine Perrault, selected for us by our news producer for today. We move now to talk something else. Members of the Southwest Area Village Bank Microfinance with Board of Directors, known by acronym as SWAVIV, has concluded a two-day workshop on internal control. The training session was organized by the umbrella branch of the said organization in the town of Boya, as Princess Alice Leke has more for us.
In order to ensure the smooth functioning of microfinance institutions, Southwest Area Village Banks Microfinance Cooperative Society with Board of Directors SWAVIP is undergoing a two-day training on internal control starting this November 15 to November 16 in Boya.
To train all the affiliates of the SWAVIP Finance Network, because we have 25 affiliates. We brought the board members and the managers to train them on internal control, because internal control is one of the very, very important aspects that has to do with the smooth functioning of a microfinance institution. And we think that to be in conformity with the exigencies of the Banking Commission, we need to train both the board and the managers on the internal control, so that it should be implemented within their institutions. And then from there, we are going to follow them up and to make sure that the internal control system is part and parcel of it. Because if an institution fails at the level of internal control, then it's very difficult for that institution to even succeed in any other aspect of its operations, be it loans, be it at the level of governance.
This is going to correct management errors identified during control mission, enables them to be able to come out with good proposals that can lead to the improvement of the products and services that are offered by the institutions. The training is characterized with different presentations that left the participants with great insight on what internal control is all about.
This message is auto control and control by external bodies. What I mean by that is to ensure that the cashiers and all those who are playing over entries and the outings to make sure that they do second checks before they forward their documents to the manager for days operations checks and closing of documents for each day.
It's a very important aspect in the life of the in the life of the microfinance institution, and it's going to help in the control process to moderate certain activities that are taking place within the life of the microfinance. It's going to enhance performance, it enhance activities.
Very rich, and I believe after this, I will carry out routine controls in my institution because it is one of the aspects that we lag behind in most institutions as far as microfinances are concerned.
It is important to note that training of SWAVIP affiliates on internal control is beneficial to everyone, as it reassures that the resources invested in the microfinance institutions are well managed.
From microfinance, we take you to education, where teachers of the basic and secondary sectors of education in Mebet Division of the Southwest region has concluded a two-day workshop on best practices in the pedagogy approaches of teaching in schools in Mebet Division. The gathering that took place at the Kumba 1 Council Hall saw a majority of the teachers in the said sector who are at present, as our Kumba-based reporter Roland Sin Engwari has more.
A two-day zonal pedagogic seminar workshop for nursery and primary education for Kumba 1 have ended. The seminar, which held under the theme Digitalization of Instructional Processes, Reinforcement of Capacities for the Teaching of Core Subjects, and Sustaining a Positive School Climate and Culture, had over 400 participants from the public, lay, private, and conventional schools. According to the Inspector of Basic Education, Meme, Matuke Ivo Ebako, they are trying to implement the method of using digital instruments like phones and other gadgets to teach pupils, as he calls on the teachers to implement what have been taught in their various schools.
In a nutshell, we are trying to bring out the method of using instructions, using digital instruments, assistive devices in the teaching and learning process in schools. All my expectations are so very high. You know, after a seminar like this, we expect the teachers to implement just what they have learned from the seminar, using digital assistive devices in the teaching learning process.
Some participants have this to say.
I want to believe that the seminar objective has been achieved, whereby it was that the general and the specific teachers who are participants in this seminar will go back with one, learning new strategies and gaining knowledge on digitalization, how they are going to use a digital methodology in teaching, again how to improve the teaching learning, about inclusive teaching learning strategies in the classroom.
It came in at the era digital learning is dominating worldwide. Participants also recommended that the presenters were also applaudable for a job well done. They made use of the learner-centered method of teaching, as they were not just robots during the teaching learning process. They had a good mastery of their content.
In a crisis hit zone, the intellectual jamboree went on hitch-free.
You are watching High Prime and we are coming to you live from our main studio here in High Television. We stay in the green city of Kumba, this time around with local authorities in Kumba, who has charged economic operators in the green city of Kumba not to encourage the phenomenon of traditional Monday ghost town and lockdown called by separatists. According to the local authorities, this calls of lockdown and Monday ghost town goes a long way to retard the doing business situation in the country, and the economy of the southwest region is not feeling the punch of that economic situation of that part of the country. Roland Tinengwari once more.
A sensitization meeting held Tuesday at the Kumba 3 Council Hall in respect of a joint communique signed by all the councils in Kumba municipality to combat Monday's ghost towns. The stakeholders who attended the meeting were called upon by the mayor and the divisional officer for Kumba 3 to champion the cause for movement in Kumba 3 in the restive northwest and southwest regions. Mayor Mukwele remarked of the state that need to see the restive areas return to normalcy, as he mentioned that shops will be sealed if not seen open on Mondays.
These ghost towns that we are respecting are hampering our economic situation. It's not helping neither the business people nor the administration nor the municipal authorities. I think we have lost a great deal. We have respected it enough. So now we are calling on our populations to come out and do their normal day-to-day business like they do for holidays, that is come out on Mondays.
Monday the 13th has been given as deadline for economic operators to keep their shops and institutions open.
From the cream of people you saw in the hall, we called all walks of life to give the information and then let them go out and sensitize the population. We are hoping that they will do this, and we are hoping that the population will respect coming out on ghost towns, so that they can go about their normal activities as it's always done in other days.
The divisional officer, Gale Alfred, gave some resolutions after taking the people's view.
Apart of being a teacher, we understand your second career. You spoke so well, especially at the end. But it didn't start so well as well. Your presence here in the hall before our arrivals, and you requesting for open apologies is not so orthodox as well.
The matter is an affair as usual.
We now move over to environmental reporting, where the Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF, has warned the world on the increase of plastic pollution that have a huge burden on less developed countries. She encouraged the more advanced developed countries to put in more so as to assist the poorer ones to beat this phenomenon of plastic pollution. More with Cynthia Latte.
According to a recent report by Worldwide Fund for Nature on the extensive impact of plastic pollution, low-income countries bear a burden of this environmental hazard up to 10 times higher than wealthier counterparts, despite their low per capita plastic consumption. With specific focus on countries like Kenya, the report emphasizes the environmental, health, and economic ramifications of plastic pollution, underscoring the urgent need for global intervention.
The reason why we want a global legally binding treaty, just like in the Paris Agreement for climate, then we would need targets that would essentially move countries, for example, to move from unnecessary, problematic, and unrecyclable products to a standard that says all countries, all producers must create products by the standards that are all recyclable, so that we do not have a huge percentage of the materials ending up either in the dump site or being incinerated, that essentially fuels more extraction of fossil fuel to feed into the exponential growth.
Worldwide Fund for Nature identifies 3 structural inequalities amplifying the impact of low and middle income nations. It states that these nations have minimal influence over plastic production decisions made primarily in wealthier nations. Also, the rapid rate of plastic pollution outpaces the technical and financial resources available for waste management in less affluent countries. The absence of a fair mechanisms to hold countries and companies accountable for the actions or inactions on plastic pollution is also stressed.
For example, China refused to take plastic imports. So right now, countries in the global north are trying to look for an alternative home for their plastics, which is very expensive if it was to be dumped in Africa. It might cost a lot of resources in terms of capacity, but also the infrastructure requirement that's required to handle these plastics is very costly to African economies.
Worldwide Fund for Nature has urged governments to implement measures such as a ban on high-risk plastic products, establish global requirements for product design, and provide financial support for low and middle-income countries.
We move over to our sports dossier for today. 6 stadiums have been programmed to host matches for the 2023 edition of the African Cup of Nations in the West African nation of Cote d'Ivoire. On this, High Prime sportswoman Sonita Ngunyu reviews the state-of-the-art sporting facility in the West African nation of Ivory Coast.
Wanting to know the number and the various stadiums that have been chosen to host the 2023 African Cup of Nations, I'm going to be giving to you an overview on the various stadiums that have been chosen to host of the African Cup of Nations coming January 2024. I am Sonita Ngunyi. Stay tuned. As January 2024 approaches, the fever of the 34th African Cup of Nations edition is getting high, with infrastructures being one of the main characteristics of hosting the African Cup of Nations. Here are the 6 AFCON 2023 stadiums that will host the 24 countries for the second time in Ivory Coast come January to February 2024. On the list is Stade Alassane Ouattara in Abidjan, with a capacity of 60,000 seats. It is Ivory Coast's new national stadium. It is the largest stadium in the country and the most modern in Africa as well. Second on the list is Laurent Paco Stadium, capacity 20,000. It's a brand new stadium built between 2018 to 2023 in preparations of the 34th African Cup of Nations edition in Ivory Coast. The stadium was named after Laurent Paco, a late Ivorian actor who died in 2016. Charles Cannon Barry Stadium, capacity 20,000. It's equally another new site built between 2018 to 2023 in preparations of the 2023 AFCON. It is another new modern stadium in the nation's capital. It was initially called Stade de Yamoussoukro. The Boni Stadium was named after Charles Cannon on April 2023 after the country's former Prime Minister Charles Cannon Brownie, who died in 2001. Stade Felix Houphouët-Boigny, capacity 33,000, is located in Abidjan. The stadium was named Stade Cheikh Idriss in order to recognize the French boatman in the 1961 French game, and now called Felix Houphouët-Boigny, the country's first president. It is also called Le Félixie. It equally hosted the finals of the AFCON in 1984, and in 2009 and 2013, there was a stampede which caused the death of 19 and 61 people respectively. Prior to the 2023 African Cup of Nations, the venue has been upgraded with a roof covering the entire auditorium. Stade de la Paix is another stadium that will be used in this year's edition in Ivory Coast. Capacity 40,000, built in the Bukayet city with about 800,000 people. And this particular city is known to be a city where many Ivorian footballers like Yaya Touré and Ibrahim Touré were born, amongst others. The stadium was built in the second largest city of Ivory Coast and hosted the 1984 AFCON. The arena equally acted as a peace place where in July 30 and 31st, 2007, the so-called ceasefire ceremony took place in the stadium, symbolizing an end to the Ivorian crisis and equally representing the current name, the Stade of Peace. Following the 33rd AFCON edition held in Cameroon, the avenue was expanded from 23 to 40,000 capacity. And at the last spot, it's the Amadou Gonkoli Koulibaly 20,000 newly built capacity stadium to host the upcoming tournament. Construction works started in May 2018 and ended in 2019 with Amadou Koulibaly as Prime Minister of the GFCS. He died in office as he was the venue's patron before his demise. The naming of the stadium was already announced in July 2023.
Imposing structures there from Cote d'Ivoire. We remain in the world of sports. This time around, the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon have started their qualification campaign as they have started training. The head coach Rigobert Song says his boys are upbeat and ready for the stakes and challenges ahead when it comes to the 2026 World Cup qualifiers.
Less than 48 hours for Team Cameroon to battle with Mauritius ahead of the World Cup qualifier on Friday, 17 November 2022. In the Lions' Den, locally home-based players called up by Coach Rigobert Song like Atiba from Dynamo with already 5 goals, Frank Nsama from Bamboo Tools and Eric Musso from Cotton Sport of Garoua are already in the Lions' Den, and many are waiting to see what they can offer to others. Some players like Frank Magritte, Ben Elliott, who have had little or no playing time, this is another chance to write their names in the Lions book. As 17 November approaches, newcomers like Ivan Belbel, George Kevin Kundu, Junior Chamande, Faris Pemi Mumbanya are expected to do more by Cameroonians.
With our sports story from sportswoman Sonita Ngonyo, this is where we draw the curtains of High Prime for today, the Thursday, the 16th of November 2023. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned to High Television as more interesting programs are coming your way. Good night from me to you.